Oh, hello everyone. Good evening and a very warm welcome to our public talk of this evening, which is part of our regular activities and our study group, Center for Spiritist Studies, Camille Flammarion here in Brussels. It's called Nekafla, our group. And I would like to, before we start with our presentation today, I would like to introduce the activities of our group a bit, those that have been retaken in our premises and those which are still going online. So in order for you to see that better, I will just increase the slides a bit. So our public talks, like the one that we have today in English, this happens every Tuesday, 8:00 p.m. in Brussels. And we also have our talks in French on Mondays at 7 p.m. and in Portuguese on Saturdays at 5 p.m. And for the moment, those talks are being broadcast via our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. As due to the well-known situation, we are not in a position yet to have them back in our premises. And in addition, you can come to our group for the following activities. If you need to, that's actually online, excuse me, the fraternal conversation. If you need to talk to someone, if you have any issue that you would like to talk about, be it a spiritual question, be it any kind of challenge in your life, and you feel you need someone to talk to, please contact us. And we will do our best and try to help you. For that, please book an appointment. Further down, I will read out our contact details. And also by appointment, what we also do is the laying on of hands, the healing, or also called passive. This is done at our premises, and you can book an appointment for that. And also our library and bookshop have reopened. And this also would have to be booked for the moment, so we can really ensure that we can keep the social distances and all the measures in place. Our contact details, you can find all of them on our webpage, nekafla.be. You can send us an email, info@nekafla.be, in order to book an appointment. You can contact us via our Facebook Messenger. You find the details on our website. And on the following phone number via WhatsApp. So that's 0492 859 981. Okay, these are the public activities that we have for now. And before we start with our talk of today, I would like to invite you for our initial prayer, as we usually do. So please calm down. Let's forget for a while our worries and try to concentrate, elevate our thoughts, and let us thank God for the opportunity of being here together, and as it is intended today, to reflect a bit about what all of us can do in order to help others, in order to help those who are struggling, in order to help preventing suicide. We're asking for inspiration, and that all those who may need help at this moment may receive the support possible. So be it. So this is the topic of our talk today. Take a minute, change a life. This is actually the motto that was used for the World Suicide Prevention Day a few years ago. This day happens every year on the 10th of September worldwide. And it is intended to raise awareness about the topic of suicide, especially the topic of suicide prevention. What can we do in order to help, and where to find help, and how can we all contribute? And on that day, on the 10th of September, Usually around the world, there are many, many, many activities going on in order to raise awareness, the most diverse activities. This year, naturally, many of those will have to happen online. But still, this day will be honored, and there will be lots of conferences, etc., going on. And a little bit later, I will give you some examples. And every year, actually, a motto is chosen for the World Suicide Prevention Day, which will then be translated in all the different languages. And I like that one, take a minute, change a life, particularly because it shows how little time it takes to make a real difference in someone's life, to help someone, to reach out to someone who is struggling and who was just needing a little hand that we can all give. And this year, there is another motto chosen. So this year, World Suicide Prevention Day is under the headline of Working Together to Prevent Suicide, which also shows that we will have to work together, get together and see what we can all do, because one organization, one institution may have the best of intentions, but as we will see, we all have a role to play, and only together we will be able to make a difference and help preventing suicide. And why is it so important to talk about this issue? Probably many of you know of cases of someone who has struggled so much or has attempted suicide. We have sometimes cases of well-known people. And just to give an idea, I will not bring all of the statistics around the world, but just to give you an idea, here in Belgium, on average, every day, 6 people die by suicide here in Belgium, every day. And now with the situation of the pandemic, the social isolation, although we are not confined anymore the way we were in spring, but still we're still a bit isolated from one another, and the whole situation brought a lot of pressure to people, increased emotional pressure, increased mental health struggles much more, by all the different questions that are related with the pandemic situation. So, and when we talk about this issue and when we talk about statistics, we have to remember that every single one of those suicides that we find in the statistics, every single one is a personal tragedy for the person who ends their life that way. And also it has a huge impact on the people around, on family members, friends, on colleagues. And also there are statistics for that, but we don't really need numbers for that. But you can imagine what a profound impact the suicide has on loved ones, on those left behind, in many different ways. You have to reconstruct your life, sometimes completely, and often people really need professional help in order to find a way to live with that situation. And that's the situation of those who are left behind. And when we look at the person who dies by suicide, Spiritism teaches us a lot about the consequences of suicide. And also the first thing or one of the first things that we learn when we study Spiritism is that we are eternal or immortal spirits. And we also learn why we are here, what is the objective of an incarnation. Spiritist teachings show us, and I can go to the next slide, which summarizes the teachings in a way very, very well. It's a sentence attributed to Allan Kardec. To be born, to die, to be reborn yet again, and constantly progress, that is the law. So we are immortal spirits. We are here for a purpose, and we learn that every single incarnation that we go through on our path of evolution has very important purpose, and it has been planned beforehand with lots of dedication, depending on our situation before we incarnated, and depending on the lessons that we have to learn, depending on the imperfections that we have to overcome in order to progress. This incarnation will offer us exactly the circumstances that we need in order to progress, and this is that's the objective for all of us. We have been created in order to one fine day reach perfection, which for us and our condition here is still very far away. But through the many incarnations, we learn what we need to learn and step by step progress. And studying Spiritist teachings, the basic books, and also the literature that is available in addition, we learn how important it is to really go through the incarnations that have been planned for us with lots of with a purpose behind. When we study and read, we understand why we still suffer. We learn that everything is based on the law of cause and effect, and that very often we have to go through difficult times. We have to go through our trials and expiations depending on our past. And we're not suffering because God wants to see us suffer, and that He would be revengeful or would like us to see us suffer, but it is an educational purpose behind, where we really learn what we still need to learn. And it is difficult sometimes to remember that when we are in the middle of the struggle, and to go on and say, yes, I will be able, or maybe I will need help, but we can find a way to overcome this. And also studying Spiritism, we see the consequences for the spirit who ends their life by suicide. It brings a lot of suffering, because what happens is, instead of having ended the suffering that was leading someone to end their life, the suffering continues, because our life continues on the other side, if you want to say it that way, in the spiritual world. And the suffering usually gets even worse if we die by suicide, and if we thought we could find a way out of that suffering. And I'm not going to diminish it. I'm not saying someone does that because they would like to end their life like that. I'm aware that sometimes we are in situations where we feel we wouldn't be able to find out to overcome this situation when you're in such a tunnel, or if you cannot really imagine that there will be better days ahead, and that there will be a change, and that there will be turns in life. And this is also the objective why we talk about it today. So we see we have all this suffering related to every single suicide for many people. And the good news is, as you just saw already, that suicide is preventable. And according to the World Health Organization, approximately 90% of suicides can be prevented. Because these are, and I think this is a very impressive number, if we see how many people die by suicide, and if you see on the other hand, 90% of suicides can be prevented. Then we can ask ourselves, well, how? Then let's talk about this. It can be prevented because those suicides are related to mental health disorders, the most of them being depression, others bipolar disorders, substance abusers like alcohol and other drugs. And these mental disorders can be treated. There is help available for that. And suicides related to these disorders can be prevented if the warning signs can be recognized in time. So if that's the situation, what is missing then? If you have professional help, you have so many psychologists, psychiatrists, mental health workers, organizations that help, what's missing then if these suicides could be prevented. Why aren't we in a position to do that then? So what needs to change? But when you think about warning signs of mental health disorders like depression, which is so widely spread or which is so common, do we really all know what are the warning signs? Would we be able to recognize them in ourselves when we were affected by depression? Would we really be in a position to say, oh, that is a point where I will have to reach out and find help? And if we see that in others, do we know, even if we would recognize the warning signs, would we know how to address someone in such a situation? Or isn't that the case that we often do not know what to do? Do we turn things worse if we address someone directly? So what do we do? And I think this is one of the main challenges that we have, because for a very long time suicide was a taboo, and it was not a topic that people would like to really talk about openly. And but if you have this situation, if you do not openly talk about it, then you get lots of myths, and people think that this and that would be the case, but you can't really help someone, and you can't really help yourself if you're suffering, if you don't really all have a clear picture of what is going on. And over the last years, thank God, there have been many organizations and institutions that try to raise awareness and do a lot of work actually in order to overcome this taboo, and share information, useful information about mental health issues and suicide prevention. And this needs to be continued, and I think a lot of work is still needs to be done until it reaches really everyone, and until we are all aware about it. So we need to educate ourselves. What are warning signs? What are symptoms of certain mental disorders? Where can I find help? What can I do if someone presents warning signs? So, and as long as we do not talk openly about this, it will be difficult to change that situation. And there's one, I'd like to introduce you to this young man, Kevin Hines, and he's just one example of many people who try to help raising awareness and to try to overcome this taboo and to talk openly about the issue. The sentence, "Life is the greatest gift we have ever been given," is from him, and he is actually. He was in a situation where he tried to end his life. He attempted suicide, and thank God he survived it. And this situation had such a strong impact on him that he dedicates his life now in order to openly talk about his story, to share it with others, to tell others what had happened to him, what led to that situation that he tried to end his own life. One thing that he said is that when he thought it was too late, when he already attempted suicide, he realized that moment, oh my God, I do not want to die. I actually don't want to die. And if I'm going to die now, how will people ever know? And he talks about what the situation caused to his family, for instance, and also in what situation he was. So he suffered from several mental disorders, and he wasn't at the stage where he thought, really, no one ever cares about me, there's no sense in life, and I'm left to my own devices, which was not true. And he openly shares that people were paying attention to him, or he did matter to people, but they wouldn't always show it in a way that he would really be reassured. But he really suffered from depression and other mental disorders where he could not see that. And this is why he openly shares his story, in order to tell people how important it is, if you come to such a situation, that you reach out and ask for help. And it's and also to show others who who see that someone is suffering, that someone might be depressive, to show others how to address that person and how to find help. And this is also a topic that we try to raise awareness of in the campaign, and an awareness raising campaign to prevent suicide, where I'm part of. It's called Say Yes to Life, and later on I will give some more information about that. What we do is we have a Facebook page, and we do share useful information. So what are warning signs, where to find help, how to help others, how to reach out. The objective is really to show that every one of us can contribute to preventing suicide, and that every one of us can play a role. So some of the information that we share, for instance, trying to overcome the myths that are related to suicide, is that suicides are preventable. And one very important point is that many people who have attempted suicide and who share their story, what they say is they actually did not necessarily want to die, but looking back, they realize what they wanted was that their pain and that huge emotional pain and suffering that they were going through, that this would end. And at that moment, they didn't see any other way out. But it's actually a very hopeful information if I see that, because it means that if we are able to reach out to someone who is in such a big suffering, then there may be ways to find help and help that person get over it. And also one question that is one of the main challenges, as I think that people often don't know, can I talk to someone that I'm really worried about? I see that someone is becoming more isolated, someone seems to be more sad, or they're losing interest in things that they used to love. Can I openly talk to the person? Yes, the experts affirm that, and also people who went through such a situation. Many people are just really waiting for someone to tackle that issue. And in generally speaking, by openly addressing someone and asking if everything is okay, or if you can help somehow, we do not encourage people to end their lives, but on the contrary, we help them in the process of finding a way out of that suffering. And often people just don't know whom to turn to. And it's easy. That's what Kevin shares, and others as well. It's as simple as, are you okay? Someone just waiting. Is anyone noticing that I'm not okay? Does anyone really pay attention to me? Very often people were just waiting for someone to ask them that question. Are you okay? Is there anything I can help? So that shows that in order to help someone, we do not need to have a degree in psychology or have had a course about that. It's as simple as reaching out and showing someone, yes, I do care about you, and it is important for me how you're feeling. And is there something I can do in order to help? And also, we do not need to be worried that starting such a conversation, we would have to be the ones who have to resolve the issue, someone else's struggles or problems. No one would really expect that. But very often it's just what people need is someone who will just listen to them. Listen with compassion. Listen without judgment. We don't need to have we don't really need to give our opinion and tell people what we would think would be right for them, but just having the time, showing someone, yes, I do care for you, makes all the difference in many, many, many ways. So this is what we would like to show. It is something that we all can do, and as the next line says, families and friends play a key role. Why? Because we can have the most beautiful campaigns by institutions and by organizations. But family, friends, colleagues are the ones who are around someone who's suffering. So they are the ones who see that someone changes their behavior and that someone might be needing help. So that's really what we would like to show. Please, yes, let's pay attention to one another and reach out to someone, showing that we care and be available, showing that we are here for you. Not necessarily if someone says, no, fine, thank you, I do not want to talk, it's okay, I appreciate it. Let people know that we are available. If you need to talk, you know how to reach me and I'm there for you. And one very important point also is to overcome the stigma related to mental health orders, which often brings people in a situation where they do not really dare to openly talk about their problems, because what might people think? And that's, I think, especially for younger people, a very difficult situation. What we need all to become aware of, it is okay to ask for help. And this is something that Kevin in his story also tells people. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay not to be okay. And we have to show that this is actually something that happens to many people. I once saw a very beautiful report about a group of students in Ireland who are openly telling their stories in a video that they posted on social media, and were also addressing authorities in order to get mental health issues integrated in the schedule at schools, colleges. So people would have lessons about that, and everybody would learn what are warning signs, and would also learn that this is something that happens really to many people. It is not only okay to ask for help, but it's also necessary to ask for help so we can overcome that situation. And we all do play a role in helping people. We're always, or very often, asking ourselves how we can put our ideal in practice to be more loving and more charitable. And it's very often that simple, that we just care for those who are around us and that we pay attention to them. So, yeah, where to find help. I would not want to leave this out when we're talking about this issue. We all probably know, if you have a general health emergency, what number to call, the 112. But do we all know what to do if we think we need help and we have suicidal thoughts, or someone else that is around us and that we would like to help? Do we know whom to turn to? So first of all, yes, of course, we can call the general emergency number as well. But then there are also specialized helplines where you can call 24/7, which are free of charge, and where people will help you either understanding what is going on with someone that we're worried about and how to help them best, or if we struggle with just anything, as this organization, the Community Help Service here in Belgium, for the international community, so the English speaking, what they say. So we listen without judgment, like anything. We support you through times of mild frustration, loneliness, anxiety, divorce, bereavement, and thoughts of suicide, and more. So you don't really have to necessarily have suicidal thoughts in order to ring such a number, but if we need help, they are available and will guide us. And I put the English-speaking number here because we're having our English-speaking talk. But of course, when we are talking about the Belgian helplines, they are available in the 3 official languages of the country. So we have the phone number in French, of the Centre de Prévention du Suicide, which is 0800 32123. And then we have the helplines in Dutch, 1813, in German for the German-speaking community, 108, and then the number for the English speakers, which is very helpful because we know that there are so many people from other countries living here in Brussels who might struggle talking about their issues in a different language. So English will be very helpful. And as I mentioned before, I would like just to give you this information about the awareness raising campaign Say Yes to Life that we are part of, which is an example of many. There are many campaigns that exist, and what we do and others do is really share useful information, inspiring stories, testimonials that show that people like you and me can be in a situation where we will have to reach out and need help. And there's just general information what to do and how to reach out. You can see our Facebook page here, and everyone's really invited to check out this information, and maybe if there's something that resonates with you, to share it on your own social media, so others can read that information, and we never know whom it will reach. We never know whom of our friends might need exactly that information. We have volunteers in different countries that reach out to national helplines, that also organize events where we talk to people in the parks and the streets, and especially at World Suicide Prevention Day. But yeah, this year is a bit different, and we have prepared a little contribution that will be published on World Suicide Prevention Day on our page. So stay tuned. A very beautiful surprise. And before we finish, I would like to draw your attention to a conference which will be held on the 10th of September, organized by several spiritist organizations like the British Union for Spiritist Societies, British Spiritist Medical Association, the Irish Spiritist Federation, and by Cardiac Radio. And these are speakers who will give information about topics related to mental health and to suicide prevention. It will be live streamed, both on the addresses that you can see there, uk.bus on Facebook, on that Facebook page, and also on Cardiac Radio, which is cardiacradio.com. There you can really watch that live and get more information. So these were just a few reflections about this topic, which is, I think, extremely important in order to help us thinking a bit more that we all have a role to play, and that all of us can be that shoulder that someone can cry on, or the hand that reaches out, in a very simple way, showing that we care for one another. So this is my invitation to all of us, and if you permit, I would like to read or conclude with a story which I found in this book, Humans of Dublin, which has been published by a photographer who tells the stories of people who live in Dublin, the ones that we meet every day in the streets. And every one of them has a very interesting story to tell. I would like to share the story that this young man shared here about how we all can make a difference. So he tells us, the turning point of my life was a young girl in 1999, walking by with her boyfriend at Christchurch on New Year's Eve. It was lashing rain, and I was sitting on some concrete steps with my long hair and beard, listening to the bells, wondering where my family were and how they were. Out of nowhere, the young girl kneeled down in front of me and, like an angel with her blue eyes, said, "Hi, what's your name?" I had to think. Nobody calls you by your name on the street. It's Glenn, I told her. And she asked, "What would make you happy, Glenn?" I said, "I'm okay, I'm happy. I'm in a brave phase. Thanks for asking." She went back to her boyfriend and got some cans from him and a pack of cigarettes and handed them to me. Then she asked again, "If you could have one wish, what would it be?" I told her I wish to be with my family. "So why don't you go home?" she asked. I said no, that it'd been too long, 3.5 years. And she said, "Just go." Just like that. This girl in her late 20s being the wisest person in the world. Then she gave me a kiss on the cheek and wished me a Happy New Year. She is out there somewhere, not knowing what she did that day. You can make a difference in someone's life that you might never ever meet again. You have that power. The best thing you can take from this world is the belief that you made a difference. I went home the next day. So this is Glenn's story, and with that I would like to conclude and thank you all for your patience, for being here, and for reflecting about this issue with us. So let us do our final prayer. And let us thank God and our mentors for the opportunity of exchanging about this issue, about the question what all of us can do in order to help, in order to reach out to others who may be struggling, but also to raise awareness that we may all have difficult moments and that it is completely okay to ask for help. I'd also like to pray for all those who are struggling at this moment. And also for those who lost their lives through suicide, those who were affected by the suicide of someone else. May everyone receive the support that they need. So be it. So thank you very much. And next week we will have, I'm struggling with my mouse. Next week we will have a different topic and someone else talking to us at the same time. So at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, please join us. Thank you.